So, a little bit about me. I am 27 years old, so for you that might be older or younger. That's very cool, but my parents are on the older side, and I was talking to one of them today, and we were just discussing life and how it's really difficult to grow up in general, no matter what phase of life you are in, whether you're an adolescent, going into high school or college, from, graduating college as a young adult, maybe going to your late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It's a lot to do. And something that we kind of feel, or I've been feeling, and so have my parents a little bit, is this idea of discomfort. I think, at least for me, I really like to have things planned out, and I really like to, know what my next steps are, know what, will bring me joy. I love working towards things, right? It makes it feel like we're growing as humans and we're evolving to have these goals and then to hit them, right? At a young age, we, grew up going to, school, and they're like, okay, you need to hit all these tests to, pass the grade, right? And, move up. And, I think that is a little bit of a disservice to what life is really about, and I think it's really important to learn everything, obviously, but life is not going to be clear on, it's not as simple as do this and you get this result. I think a lot of misery happens when we go in that mindset, right? We're like, okay, if I do this for 3 years, I'll get this and I'll be happy. Well, guess what? In 3 years, you're going to change. You might experience all of that, and, you might lose someone, or you might find that you enjoy something else. And a lot of us just lock in and hold out because we're like, well, I've already committed to this, right? I've committed to doing 3 years of college, or I've been committed to this job to get this pension. And in reality, we will get to the end of that, and a lot of people, have their midlife crises because they got the thing they thought would make them happy and they're not there, right? And so it's really difficult. I feel like you probably feel this. If I'm touching on this, let me know down below. But this discomfort of, not knowing what the right solution is, not knowing what to do to feel grounded, to feel like we're succeeding in life. Because humans, you and I, also sorry about the airplane, but you and I, we're very simple creatures at the end of the day. Yeah, we have thoughts and feelings, and, we might be artists, we might be finance bros or whatever, but deep down we want to feel seen, we want to feel like we matter, and we want to feel cared for. And not to plug the channel, but if you look for any of that, our channel is that, so click the join button. That's the whole goal of this channel, is to create a community where you feel seen, where you feel loved, where you feel heard, where, we might not fit the molds of society, but that's okay, because if you might be being really hard on yourself for, not liking the job that you thought you would like, or not doing what you thought you would be doing, well, guess what? Life has changed since you made those plans. Life has been evolving over and over again since, we've been living it, and it might not feel like that, but I'm here to remind you that, that's why it's difficult to. It's hard to make plans, right, when you don't know what you like or dislike, and then B, the world is changing. Now, this is also a really great thing. I know that can feel very overwhelming, but I'm here to remind you, and something I've been learning as getting older is, discomfort is not a bad thing. Discomfort is not a bad thing. It's a feeling, and I think the more that we can live in, that area and see the world change and see how we view the world, we're gonna grow more. You're gonna grow more, and it's not gonna be fun. It's not one of those things that you're like, this is what I've been finding funny. I was talking to my mom about this. It's not one of those things that, when you become discomfort, you get a lot of discomfort and stuff, or uncomfortable. It's not like once you address that in your mind that you're like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, it gets better. It doesn't. But my question to you is, do you think the goal of life and growing up is getting more comfortable, or do you think it's living in the zone comfort and, trying to be in touch with how you feel, growing and everything? I honestly would love to know your thoughts. I think a lot of us go go. You know, when you get scared and uncomfortable, you're like, okay, let me jump into school. Let me go into this really stable job. Because we think comfort is what we should be aiming for. But I want to just remind you that being uncomfortable is okay. It is not a sign that what you're doing is wrong or bad or not important or that you're failing at life. It's quite the opposite, actually. I think if you're uncomfortable, it means that you are living life, you're feeling, you are embracing what's around you. And don't get me wrong, there's probably a lot of solutions, a lot of things that you can do if you're uncomfortable financially and all that stuff. That's how I feel, but I think, that's where faith comes in too. I think when you're uncomfortable, you learn things. You learn how to ground yourself, and you learn your priorities and what's important to you, right? At the end of the day, when everything is gone and you feel uncomfortable, when you feel like you don't have a stable area, or you don't feel, like you understand what you're doing, those are the moments where you can learn from yourself. Okay, well, for me, it's like, what does Nick find important? I did this thing, but is it really important? I found this thing on TikTok that I really liked. Hopefully you've seen, and maybe I'll post onto the community tab one day if I find it. But it's this idea that there's the difference between a decision and a choice. So a lot of us, we think that, I'm going to totally butcher this, but we think that when we make a choice, for instance, if you're like, I'm going to go to school, or I'm going to go act, or I'm going to go do those things, we think that to make those choices, we need to make a decision beforehand. We need to be like, okay, well, I'm going to cut down all my other options. I'm going to make sure I really love this thing, and then I'm going to choose to do it, right? You're going to choose to go to school because you've canceled all the decisions. You're like, well, yeah, of course, I'm going to love it. I've done the research, all that. That's useful. But how life really works is the opposite. We're supposed to make choices, A or B. Go to school, don't go to school. Date that person, don't date that person, and then we're supposed to make a decision after that. Okay, choices lead to our decisions. So if you are feeling like you don't understand why you're not doing anything, if you feel like you're not making any choices, it might be because we're in this mindset that we need to know the decision before we make a choice. And the thing is, we're not crazy for thinking that. I think school has implemented that in us, in our thinking on why we think like that. Make a strategic choice, analyze and do your research, and that's great. But life is really actually more of the opposite sometimes. Sometimes you just need to make a choice, and you're going to learn. And something I've learned recently is, a lot of you on my channel know this, I have a tattoo now, and for a long time, it was taking a lot of my brain space on whether to get it or not. I grew up in a place, my family, no one really has tattoos. It was kind of, maybe looked down upon. It's a permanent thing on your body, right? It was taking so much power in my mind that I decided to, eventually go through with it. And I said, Nick, we're going to make a choice, and then we'll make a decision later. And a lot of you might be like, oh my God, that's wild. But to be honest, to be frank with you, my tattoo, there are days I love it, there are days I don't. It's very, my feelings don't really change, but what has changed is the space in my head. I have now made a choice, and my decision will come later. And that decision is, I have it on my body, right? It's permanent, but also there's always ways to get it removed and all this stuff. I say this though because my choice, me doing the choice, is actually the best decision of doing it. Whether I love the tattoo or feel these feelings for it, that's valid, but the fact I made the choice actually brought me a lot of relief. It brought me a lot of clarity. It cleared my head, and I feel a lot of peace for it, even though I have all these mixed emotions about it, right? And I think that's saying something. Sometimes we need to make the choice, do it, make a choice yes or no to do something, and then the decision will come later. So my thing, I don't know if you're anything like me, but sometimes we can get really overwhelmed when we're growing up, right? I feel like in my 20s, I don't know about you, but you feel like, am I making the right decision or the wrong decision? my question to you is, how definitive is your no's? If it keeps coming to your brain and your mind to be like, well, I still want to do this, why aren't you doing this? You start shaming yourself. Shame is never good, okay? But it's indicating something that is important to you. And sometimes the only way to clear that out of your head is just to do the damn thing. Do the thing. And it's going to be really obvious whether you enjoy it or not. Do the thing. Make the choice so you can clear your head. And then you can make a decision later. You don't have to decide who you are, what you want to do, all these things. Honestly, we never get a real say in that. But what you can do is choose the things, make a choice, and then make a decision on it later. And it gets hard, especially when you get to your 20s, because this is the time of life where you've made a lot of choices and decisions, right? Maybe you're like, okay, I haven't gone to school, so I'm just gonna try this, right? Or I did do this, I'm not gonna do this. At this point of life, you also have to realize that some of your decisions might need to be reevaluated. That choice you made a long time ago that you thought you made a decision on, well, let's reevaluate that with another choice. It's hard, and I'm just here to remind you that I understand, and so many people on this channel understand that it's hard. It's hard to always be rearranging your life. I basically say that I know that it's challenging, and I just want you to know that we got this, you and I. You're not alone. And I think, if you're feeling overwhelmed and everything, it's a sign that we need to let go of something. We need to let go of baggage. You're holding on to something that is not serving you. It might be something for me recently that wasn't serving me was this idea of who I am. I went to acting school. I was an actor. I studied all these years acting. Why have I not been acting? Why am I, all this, you go in this shame spiral. Why am I not doing this thing that I, said I would do? Sometimes we gotta let that go. Okay, so I have to let that go and be like, okay, maybe I'm not that version anymore, and that's okay. It doesn't mean anything, but I need to let it go, right? If it's not serving you, let it go. And also know, if you can't let it go, like I said, then maybe we need to make a choice to get back to that thing, right? At the end of the day, life is not about decisions. It's about the choices. It's about making as many choices as you can. And as my friend Troy says, experiencing things. I think experiencing things are so important in life. So life is meant to be experienced. If you have an opportunity to experience something or not, choose the experience, right? That's a reminder, but getting old is difficult. No lies. And I just found it interesting. I want to share this with you that no matter what age range you are, it's gonna be different and difficult. But the people you look around, we are all feeling it. We feel isolation. We feel maybe like we're not doing good enough. We feel, all this pressure to be a certain way. And we all feel it all the time. I think we get spells where it might be, happier than others and all that, but everyone that you've seen has felt it. Some people can't articulate it, and that's why, sometimes we can't chat about it, but I can articulate it here, and, yeah. So, let me know how has growing up been like for you and stuff. It's not a scary thing. I want to remind you that it's uncomfortable, but it's not scary, okay? So you're not alone. You have us here, the Hive. I also, if you've made it this far, I would love it if you left an emoji of a bee emoji like our mascot. I just want to, before we go, I want to just kind of give you guys all a shout out and thank you for supporting this channel. And it's been a ride. I mean, talking about getting older, I started this channel 2 years ago, and the evolution of this channel and of you guys and of me has been phenomenal, and I can't wait to see where the next 2 years take us. If you want to support the channel and help grow this hive, that's what we call ourselves, click the join button down below. That's the best way to support. It's the price of a coffee. I adore you if you do that. are so loved today. You are so special. You are so important. And I'm grateful that you were here. And just know that, you know, you can always come back to this place. You can always come back to this video. I just want to share this with you because I know I feel this, and I wanted to see a video out there like this for you as well. That we're growing and we're doing the damn thing, and you're doing amazing. And sometimes it's easier to make choices than other times, and sometimes it's easier to make decisions than other times. But you're doing phenomenal. The fact that you're breathing right now means you're winning. So keep it up. Stay weird. Be kind to others. And I'll see you later, my friend. Okay. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.